Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway, and on today's episode, my guest is Laney Sachs with Ortensia Blue Travel Adventures. Welcome to the podcast, Laney. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Meredith.
So one of my favorite parts about your story is that, by the way, Laney is a top producer club member, has been a top producer club member since we started the Top Producers Club. So she's a repeat in the Top Producers Club. And she is a incredibly successful travel entrepreneur. And that is why I wanted to have her on today's episode, is because we want to showcase people at all different places in this journey. And Laney is at the place where you want to get to, like the final destination. And I know we're never at our final destination, right? It's always a journey. From your perspective, you're not there. But there's a lot of really cool, relatable aspects to Laney's journey that I'm excited to unpack on today's episode. So Laney, tell us first about how you started Ortensia Blue, because that's a really interesting part of your story.
It's not the normal way, I think, that people
No.
get into a business. So I was working for a German company that was owned by an Italian company. And I was traveling to Germany. I was traveling to Italy. And the company was an import company. They imported hiking boots from Germany. Everything was made in Europe anyway. So the company was set up here in the US with the warehouse, shipping, receiving, customs duties, blah, 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 all that stuff. And when I was in Italy, I met a woman in Lake Garda, lives on Lake Garda, who has a olive oil farm and olive oil for Antoio. She makes olive oil, and she had a little shop, and she sold other things. And anyway, we became friendly. And, I had said, would you like any distribution in the US? She goes, oh my God, I'd love that. So not knowing anything about, and this was back in 2010. This is a long time. This is a long time ago in today's world. Yeah. So I didn't even know what SEO was. And right. I set up a Shopify website. I started importing her olive oil and some other non-perishable foods. I set up a little blog, a very food-focused blog, recipes, and some of my Italian friends wrote recipes for it. And then I started selling some ceramics from Deruta and table linens from Tuscany. And this was a complete side hustle. I still had my full-time job. This was just a fun. It wouldn't this be fun? And anyway, it morphed. It morphed. So as I was posting on Facebook and sending out this little blog, and people would say, "I want to come with you to Italy." And so I set up a trip with another friend in the Lake Garda region. She worked for the very small tourism office. And we sort of set up a trip of my favorite things to do. And 9 people signed up. They were actually going to pay me to take them around. I thought, wow, this is really cool. And then it morphed. I had another friend who lives in the Prosecco region, and she said, well, we have Prosecco. How about that? So we did Prosecco. So I sort of had these trips, and then if people were going on my trips, you need to see more of Italy, right? So if you're going to fly into Milan, here's a list of hotels. And if you're flying into Venice, here's hotels, here's experiences, here's guides, here's transfer companies, here's travel insurance. And on one of my trips in the Prosecco region, a woman came on. She was a friend of a friend. And she said, I know somebody. Is one of those ultimate networkers. And she said, I know someone in the travel industry. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm thinking, oh man, I'd love to have travel advisors, sell these trips. Yeah. And so who she knew was Jen Cochran, the CEO of Gift to Travel Network. Yep. And so I had a conversation with Jen, and I had a conversation with Vanessa, who is no longer at GTN. And it was basically, it was, wow, okay, Laney, so this is great. Have you ever thought of becoming a travel advisor? And I said, no, because at the time, this is when GTN had the gift program, right? It was different.
Of the Tessa and the mastermind.
Right. It was different. I'm like, no, I never thought of being a travel advisor. And then she said, well, all these lists that you give people, you could do it and make commission. And I said, no kidding, really? and that was how it happened. So, I had some amazing mentors and at GTN that really helped me through this. I really learned a lot. The website went away. And then I had so I still had my full-time job in this for a while, because a lot of times that's how we start out, right? We need to make sure that this is going to work. Exactly. if you have the luxury of going in full for, go for it. But
but sometimes you have to have one foot in one side and one foot on the other side for a period of time.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so after doing that for a while, I thought, okay, you know what? This actually is going to work. It's really, really, truly going to work. So then I quit my job and, I started this. And
so you started the business from almost like a reverse way that a lot of people do it, where they become a travel advisor and they start to book. They do some bookings. Sometimes it takes them longer. Sometimes it takes them less amount of time to figure this out. But they're like, oh my gosh, these 1Z and 2Z trips, I'm not making a whole lot of money and I'm working so hard. It takes so much time. It takes so much effort. I throw my heart and soul into it. And then I walk away with a whopping $500 in commission. Let me try and do a group. And you did it the other way around. You're like, we're doing groups, and I don't even think you were really monetizing the group at first.
Oh, I was. I shouldn't say it so. I shouldn't say it so. Oh, I was. No, I was. I mean, I wanted to make sure. And so I probably have done since then, probably about 10 groups. Yeah. And I've done them to the Lake Garda region. I've done them to the Prosecco region, Tuscany, Sicily, a lot of repeat clients. But I wanted to make sure, and I pretty much acted as the DMC. At the beginning, I had my friends sort of helping me. Towards the end, I shouldn't say that. Sicily, I 100% used a DMC. Part of Tuscany, I used a DMC. And that was absolutely the way to go. It's way less work. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing this just for my fun. I mean, I love it. I love showing people these places that I adore. But I wanted to make sure that I did get paid for it. And I made sure that I built in my expenses. I made sure I also built in my time out of the office.
Yes. Yeah. Getting paid for that.
Paid. Exactly. Getting paid for it.
I love that this is so important for people who are listening and thinking about doing groups, or maybe you've done a group, but you haven't really monetized it. You just nailed the head on two incredibly important things. Number one, building in a profit for yourself. You have to get clear on those numbers, and you have to, I can't tell you how many people forget to, actually have it cover the cost of you traveling with the group. Or that's all they do, is they get it to cover the cost of your travel, and they forget to pay themselves for traveling with the group because you're working.
Exactly.
But the other thing that you just nailed the head on that I think people mistakenly don't do is work with a DMC. So talk to us about that. For those that don't understand what a DMC is and how that makes the process better for everybody.
Yeah. So at the beginning, because I had been sort of working as a DMC, destination management company, putting these trips together, and it was super stressful. It was really stressful. So once I decided I'm going to become a travel advisor, and people said, Laney, would you do my trip? Oh, sure. Because I figured I could do this. Well, I would lie awake in bed at night going, oh my God, because I was doing.
Did I remember to do that? Oh, shoot. As soon as I wake up, I got to remember to call that driver and make sure that they're booked. And
Yeah.
All the
And
details.
yeah, exactly. And because I sort of looked at it, one of the things we never want to do, right, is sell out of our own pocket. And I would look and go, well, I could do it for so much less money. Okay, yeah, but it wasn't going to be a good trip. It wasn't going to be a good experience for the client. And I have to say one thing, because Meredith, you were there. I don't know if you remember, you were there when this was a number of years ago in Africa, and I had clients in Venice. And there was this huge flood. It was, this was before Venice had this new system in to sort of mitigate the flooding. And I had clients that were going to be going to Venice. I was getting emails saying, from the hotel saying, I don't know if they're going to be able to get here. And because I had booked everything separately. And here I am, we were in Africa, and there's was one corner of the safari lodge where you could get Wi-Fi. And I'm on the phone with the hotel saying, oh my God, okay, let me see what I can do. And I was able to find them. It was another fabulous, virtuoso hotel that was away from, another part of Italy. So I was able to do this whole switcheroo, blah, 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 blah. But here I am in the middle of nowhere with no Wi-Fi, and I want to enjoy my safari. And I'm on the phone trying to take care of this. Well, had I done it the right way with the DMC, I wouldn't have even been involved, because the DMC would have seamlessly done this. And so the DMC is 100% the way to go. If there's an issue, if there's a train issue, a hotel issue, a weather issue, whatever, you've booked the boat for the client, but then it's going to rain. They're going to take care of it. They are there for the client.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, when they're not in this profession yet, and they're kind of looking at it from the perspective of, oh, I want to do that, but I don't want to work with a DMC because I want to pick out the hotels. I want to pick out the restaurants. I want to pick out the tour guides. I want, they want to over project manage.
And you know what, you can, once you really know your destination, once you know what you do, first of all, that DMC is the expert. They are the boots on the ground. They know what they're doing. They
Not
know what
only
they're
do
doing.
they have boots on the ground, and this is something that I learned when I sold Africa for years and years and years, because I made the mistake that I'm explaining. I'm like, I don't want to work with the DMC. I know enough about all these different things, so I want to be the one who picks it out. But not only are they boots on the ground, they are constantly reviewing hotels. They because they're boots on the ground, they have the ability to go for a day and visit a new camp, or a camp that's just renovated their rooms, or a boutique hotel that's just open, or even a restaurant that's just open. Like, they're constantly, and there's so much going on. There's so much movement and new openings and that kind of thing going on in the travel industry that, one trip a year, if you're lucky to do one trip a year to that destination, you still can't stay on top of it all. But that's just a tiny sliver of what they do.
Well, and also, and I just, so sort of going back to, you can still pick out the hotels. You can still pick it. Now they may say, because I just had this experience in Portugal, I had said, oh, I've had clients stay at this hotel. Okay, it had been a couple of years, but I'm like, what, how about this? And they said, they wrote back and they said, no. They said, we've recently reviewed it. It is not up to our standards. We've taken it out of our portfolio. Blah, blah. Well, I wouldn't have known that.
Wouldn't have known that. And you would have sent the clients there, and they would have been happy.
Yeah. And I was choosing the hotel, but a good DMC is going to say, no, that's not the right hotel for your client.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. So one of the strategies that, has been really successful for GTN advisors, especially since the pandemic, to do a group is something that we call a come with me strategy, which is basically what you did, right? I mean, so there are times that you are a very natural, and I'm just saying in general to people listening, there are going to be times where someone is a natural Pied Piper. And if that's the case, it's really cool, because a come with me strategy is relatively easy. It's relatively easy to fill. Is that what you found? And what about you made you a very natural person to do a come with me strategy?
So I love Italy. I know
Mm,
Italy very well, and people know that. So
yeah.
starting from when I started my business, it was all about Italy. And as a matter of fact, Ortensia Blue Travel Adventures used to be called Ortensia Blue Italian Adventures. And Ortensia
Mm.
Blue means blue hydrangea in Italian. So I
Oh.
first started my business thinking I'm just going to do Italy. Well, the first time a client asked me, do you do Morocco? And I said, Morocco. Of course I do. And I thought, where's Morocco? So then again, this is how we sort of
Yeah,
we sort of things happen and we just sort of roll along with it.
right.
So I still specialize in Italy. I
Yeah,
consider myself an expert in Italy. And actually, one of the DMCs said to me, I think you know more than I do about certain regions, obviously
yeah.
regions that I've happened to spend a lot of time in that clients don't go to, but whatever. So yeah. So that was sort of the natural for me. And
Yeah.
so people sort of followed along with me. But at the beginning, oh my God, I would wake up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, how am I going to fill this trip? How am I going to get people? Because I was not an advisor. I was
Right.
not I
Yeah.
didn't have that yet.
Yeah.
But
But the more you put yourself out there, get known for it, talk about it, write about it, post about it, and just share that passion with people, they naturally are magnetized to it.
and people are going to come because they want to be with you.
You. Mm-hmm.
They want to be with you.
Yes.
So, and whether it's a cruise and you're putting together a group, they're doing it because they want to be with you. If you're doing a land, it's you. So for that, and this is where people really need to keep this in mind, a cruise that's a little bit hard because you can't really upcharge a cruise unless you're doing some sort of value added. But for an FIT, you can charge more because you are with them. They have you 24/7.
Yeah.
And there's a price for that.
Yeah, there is a price for that. There is a price for someone to, be that filter, right? Be that critic's eye, serve as that critic's eye. And I think that's one thing that's part of your brilliance. I do believe you've got that real critic's eye for travel, specifically Italy, but other parts of the world too. But I want to go back to, do you do Morocco? That question. And you're like, of course I do. For someone who's considering this profession, what is it important to have to be able to say that with confidence? Which, well, I'll let you answer that. I mean, I know how to answer that too, but I want to hear from you. What is it that it's important to have as a foundation so that you can say that with confidence?
So I knew that I had DMC. I know with Virtuoso, we have a worldwide reach.
Yes.
Now, do I want to sell every destination? No. Well, actually, I think it's always interesting. So if somebody came to me with a destination I've never done before, I don't think I've ever passed it on to somebody else because I want to learn about that destination.
Yeah.
I'll get advice from other people, but because I know we have such good DMCs.
Yes.
So with Morocco, I had an amazing DMC and he put it all together. The clients still talk about that trip. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So, and as travel advisors, we can't travel everywhere. We don't know every destination. As you go along, you do travel to other places. So you do become more comfortable. It's really hard to feel 100% confident selling a destination you've never been to. But you have to, now you do the research before you get on the call. You do the research after. You tell the client, I need to do the research. You can be honest and say, I haven't been there, but I have an amazing DMC, or, I've got some of my colleagues have been there or whatever. But as a travel, I'm going to do an example. There were a lot of places that I had sold that I hadn't been to. And this last year, in the last 365 days, I've had an opportunity to go to a lot of them. Wow. I was in Australia and I was in New Zealand and I was in Thailand and I was in Morocco and I was in some parts of Italy that I had never been to. So now, man, I am out there. I know these destinations. It's that comfort level. So if you're planning to become a travel advisor, you have to travel, but you're traveling. It's different. You're not traveling for your own enjoyment. You are traveling. You're seeing a million hotels. You're trying all these different experiences. You're eating till you can't eat any more food. But that's what it is. It's not don't get into this industry if you think you're doing it just to get like free or discounted travel.
Yeah. No. That's actually something I put in my book, is like, you've got to start with why. You've got to build the business because it's coming from your heart, not your head. And so
it's a business. It's a business.
It is a business. And ultimately you can go back into your head, but you've got to start the business for the right reason. And if the reason why you want to start the business is so you can travel more, or maybe get discount on travel, or travel in a very luxurious way, without paying as much as you need to, those are all the wrong reasons. And we all get to do that.
100%.
We all get to enjoy that benefit. But if that's the reason why you're starting the business, don't start the business for that reason. Start the business because you have a passion for it and you just want to share that passion with others. Let's transition, because you are in what I call phase 4 of the business. That's why I'm saying you've reached the destination. I agree. Like, we always want to have goals, and we always want to be reaching and stretching ourselves. So we're never done, but you are in what I call phase 4. You are a 7-figure travel entrepreneur. And I want to talk about the journey to getting there and growing and scaling that process. I do remember a time where you were a solopreneur and you are not a solopreneur anymore. Can you talk about that journey for yourself and how it felt to be like, oh my gosh, I need to hire someone. How am I going to wrap my head around this? And how did you find the right person? And what does your team look like now?
So the first time I hired somebody, I really knew that I needed help. When I started the business, it was really sort of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. I had no processes. No, I just was doing everything. And so I hired somebody that I had met through a networking group. So networking, I never had networked before in my life. It just made me so nervous, but I met a lot of nice people, and I've met clients there. I've met, actually, so I had a very, very nice assistant. She was part-time. She was local, that I had met through a networking group. And then COVID happened, and so I didn't have her anymore. And then during COVID, through another networking group, somebody said to me, hey, a friend of mine she was an employee for another travel agency. And so during COVID, she got laid off. She wants to get back in the business. So she and I spoke, and she came along as an IC. So she's with me now.
We call that a booking member, right?
A booking member. She is my booking member, has been there since. She's my only booking member I've ever had. So, but I still needed an assistant. I needed somebody to help me with all the back office stuff, operations and stuff like that. So then, I think I had some people that perhaps so during COVID, we would share assistants, because there was one woman who 8 of us advisors all sort of shared. She gave us all a few hours and stuff. Yeah. So I did sort of that for a while, because I needed somebody, but there certainly wasn't that income. And then
Lucia too, didn't you?
I did not try Lucia. Okay. But what I did then is through a Facebook moms group that I was not a part of, but this was one, I think this was my sister was on this Facebook moms group. And so she put out my job, whatever, and somebody applied, and she was great. And she was with me for 3 years. And
Yeah.
she went on to go work for another advisor as a booking member. I mean, that's what
Right.
so it was good. I was sad to see her go, but
Right.
hey, that's good. I trained her well and off she
Yeah.
went. So then I put an ad in Indeed, and I had used Indeed from time to time. So anyway, this was back at probably at the beginning of this year, January or so, in Indeed. And Indeed, you have to have patience, but because people can just sit there and hit submit. So I was getting people that were janitors or home health workers or scientists, people that had nothing. But you go through all this, and I found Sarah, who is with me now. Now, Sarah is like she's a very experienced travel advisor.
Okay.
She was working for a mom and pop agency storefront. She had been there for years. I make her sound old. She's not. She's in her 40s, but this was her. And they sold the business, and she wasn't happy with the new ownership.
Okay.
She wanted something else, and she's amazing. So I have the beauty of an experienced travel advisor, but she loves to work with me on my clients. So we're working this whole thing together. It's just fabulous. So in terms of hiring, yes, you need to hire. Don't think you can do it yourself. And even with her, I still work a boatload of hours. Oh, and then I also have a part-time social media and marketing person too, that I found through, sort of a word of mouth thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your team.
So that's my team. An IC, booking member, full-time employee.
A social media marketing person. Yeah. And a booking member. And I know that you are in a new chapter of life from last year because you became a grandmother, which is very, very exciting. Is that? And I remember having conversations with you last year about your fear that because your work, because you love it so much, takes a lot of your time and attention and focus, and you wanted to carve out the ability to be a present grandmother to this new grandbaby. And is it still just one, or did you have another? No,
it's one, but there's another one coming next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then also my husband just retired. So
that's right.
Yeah. So yeah.
And
so
he wants your attention too.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be doing something, I know, but right now, he's sort of enjoying
having time to do stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us how has that gone? And is there anything that you structured so that you could take more time? Are you, spending time with your daughter and your grandbaby, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so I definitely am. I definitely am spending, as much time as I can. I will say, because I traveled so much this year, it's like it's a double-edged sword. I need to travel because I need those destinations. I need that. I need to know that stuff, right?
Yep.
That's my product. My product is that. I haven't. Every time I'm back in the office, I'm playing catch up. So I haven't yet. But now I'm actually home for a period of time. I think since April, I hadn't been home for more than 10 or 12 days at a time. And then throwing into the mix, I have a 91-year-old mother. So that's a whole other thing, right? I need time. Exactly. I need time for everything. So I'm working on trying to get caught. We're never caught up, right? But as caught up as I think I can be, to then get on a really good schedule of, this is going to be when I'm working. This is going to be when I have my free time. This is so, because you said, I love what I do so much. I could just sit here and work all day, all night. I just love it. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
Oh, I think it's good. I think it's good. I mean, I think it's very fortunate. But you chose it and you built it. you created it. So you deserve to be in a place now where, you absolutely love what you do. So you really aren't working, right? It's not truly work.
Right. But, tell that to the people that say, hey, the friends that say, hey, you want to go to lunch? No, can't, got to work. And now I'm saying, wait, just a second. Hang on. Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
I can take time and let's go to lunch.
So let's go back a little bit because you're based in Connecticut. And so I want to talk about client attraction. Have you ever struggled with client attraction?
I would say in the beginning, sure, everybody does, right? You have a few clients that you're going to have, right? You have some friends, you have some whatever.
But it's not.
Yeah. And were they always my ideal client? No. But now I do not. My business is all now referral and word of mouth and repeat.
I love that. I love hearing that, because if you invest the time in creating the right messaging and the right brand and the right pieces to the marketing and client attraction process, what happens is exactly what you're saying, is ultimately you get to the place where you don't really have to have your foot on the accelerator all the time on the marketing side. You can really take your foot off, and the business just kind of sustains itself with the referrals.
But at the beginning, you do need to do that. And I remember for some of my trips, I was doing Facebook ads, just trying to attract people, things, all of these things. Yeah. At the beginning, you do need, you can't sustain it. But once you have that, it's fat. And it's a really nice feeling when a client, you've planned a trip for them and they say it was great and they give you a good review and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then when they come back to you and say, oh, okay, we have another trip we need for you to plan, or the ones that come back and say, okay, now we're going to plan 2 trips a year and blah, blah. And I said, that's a thing that just makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. It's working.
But I think this is also something that, and I'm literally having this aha moment right now as we're speaking. That is absolutely true in the luxury travel space. I don't know if that's going to be true for people who are in the more mainstream travel space. And it's because when it comes to luxury, you're selling an experience, you're selling seamlessness, you're selling access, right? Because of your connections, because of your network, because of so having the right host who's a member of the right consortia, right? All of that is super important. And I think it's something that people overlook. And that's true with luxury. And that's another reason why I love luxury as a direction for being a travel entrepreneur or being a travel advisor, being in this profession, is luxury travel consumption is growing, and it's going to continue to grow over the next 10 years. And it's not necessarily about having the right collection of friends and family, right? That you can build, which is what you did successfully. Yes, you started with some, but you also did the work. You have an amazing brand. You laid the foundation of marketing that you needed to lay to build to a foundation that now can sustain itself with referrals. But if you didn't have the right DMCs, would you have those referrals?
Oh my gosh, absolutely not. I mean, and I am, I've got good DMCs and I've got some that I'm not, like I might try somebody and go, I'm not happy with them. I'm not going back to them, and now, and there could be, and I sometimes, there might be a colleague, a GTN member that says, oh, you got to try so-and-so. I love them. They're great. They're fabulous. I'm like, okay, if you think they're so great, let me give them a try. And they were not the fit for me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And whether, who knows, right? But that's why there's lots of DMCs, right? Because there's somebody for everybody. There's somebody for everybody's client. There's somebody for every advisor, because we all work differently. We all have different businesses. We all have different clients.
Yeah. Yes. And being able to have people who are in the profession with you that are also really truly friends.
100%, 100%.
Is so important, right?
Yeah.
That like you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, have you ever sold this destination, or have you worked with this DMC before? And what did you think? And who would you use?
And I've traveled with some of them. Some of the people that I met through GTN, we travel together. We go on FAMs. Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, where should we go? And we put together self-FAMs,
right.
Where if it's a destination that we really want to see,
yes.
But there's not a FAM out there, we do it because, we're on the same page. We have similar businesses, similar types of clients and things like that. But I do want to say one thing about luxury and selling luxury. And yes, I 100% agree with you. I think it's not for everybody. If somebody does not feel comfortable selling luxury, don't feel like you have to do it. Don't feel like this is what you need to do because, that's all you're hearing. That if you're saying, no, that's not my vibe. I want to stay in that premium market. Those are my clients. That's where I'm able to attract people, whether you live in a place like that, or that's where, your network, that's okay. That's okay. Don't feel like you need to get in that space. And if you're not in that space, you're not making it, there's plenty of other business that's not luxury.
There is. I love that you said that. Because luxury is not the only way to get to be a 7-figure travel
100%.
There are definitely other ways to do it. It just is one way. And at GTN, it's one of the ways that we've chosen to like really dive deep into because for me, it's just logical.
Well, right. And obviously you and I guess it sort of depends. I mean, some of these trips take a lot of work, right? And a lot of time. There's a lot of details. And, even though you have the DMC, we're still working on all the details. They can take time. Whereas if you're doing trips that perhaps you're selling, a lot of the premium cruise lines, or you're selling, Colette or Trafalgar, if you're selling tours and things like that, it doesn't take as much time. You can do more. You can do quantity.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about all those details.
Exactly.
As much.
Yes. So looking back on your travel entrepreneurial journey, are there any mistakes that you've made, but you would never change it because you learned something? You got something really valuable out of that mistake.
Yeah, I've learned something from everything. Everything I've done. I think one of the things is for us as travel advisors is we need to keep the blinders on. We need to stay in our own lane because there are always bright, shiny objects, right? There's this tech, there's this DMC, there's this destination, there's this hotel, there's experience. And you go, let me try that. And you sort of need to say, where do I want my business to be? And what's going to move my business forward? Yes. So I've probably spent money, let's put it this way. I probably spent money on things I didn't need to because why? It didn't help my business at all. And
by that, do you mean travel experiences, or are you talking about like marketing services?
Yeah. I once hired some guys to do marketing for me because even to this day, I can't stand, writing a newsletter. It just, it gives me angst. And I was paying them like $1,200 a month they wanted. Right. And I'm like, okay, if that's what it costs. And that was stupid. That was like
me too. I did something like that too.
Yeah. So, and even when it comes to, living in the part of the country there's lots of opportunities for lunches and dinners, either here in New York or whatever. And, I'll look at it. If it's not a supplier, a DMC, or, whatever that's going to move my business forward, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not, if there's a list of hotels, or it could be, sometimes it could be a tourism board that's coming around to do something. If I'm really not going to sell that destination.
Yeah. All right. So we are getting close to the top of the hour, or 45 minutes is what we like to keep it to. So I'm going to finish with my favorite question, which I think you know what's coming. But you have such an enormous, just this year alone, you have such a huge basket to choose from. But basically, can you tell us about one of your favorite pinch me, oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this for a living moments in being a travel entrepreneur?
So I was thinking about that, and there are so many, because, like everything is just, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I will say that, so Thailand was a destination that I had always wanted to go to. And Virtuoso had an opportunity for a study tour.
Okay.
And it was sponsored by Thailand Tourism, which was great because, it's
they
not.
They roll out the red carpet. They throw all the bells and whistles, right?
Yeah.
When the tourism board is trying to impress Virtuoso advisors.
Yep, absolutely. So I was staying at, they had told some people were staying at the Four Seasons in Bangkok and some were staying at the Capella next door. I was at the Capella and I'm like, I don't really know that brand. And then I'm doing research going, oh my gosh, that was named the best hotel of 2024 in the world.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow. And so I walk into this room and I look around, I'm like, oh my God. And it's got floor to ceiling windows overlooking the river. Everything in there is absolutely beautiful. They had everything that you could ever want. And they had a secret, what did they call it? A butler box or something. So instead of, like you call room service, say, can you send up some ice? And you're sort of sitting there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for them to come. You don't want to hop in the shower. You don't want to do anything in case they come with the ice, right? There's like a little box. They open from the outside, a little door that they put it in. Oh. And, then you get like a text or something, because they were, and it's like, and then there it is. You could put your dry cleaning in there. You could put your, and they also, it was like, I think they had a few items they'd
almost like a mailbox.
It's like a mailbox. And it was like, how great is that? And you could text them. You could text them, or you could text them and you're at dinner, I'll be home in, 20 minutes. I didn't do this. I thought it was a little decadent, but some of the other advisors did. Could you draw me a bubble bath? I thought, oh my God. But those are the types of things that these amazing hotels do for your clients. And what client isn't going to love the advisor that puts them in a place like that?
Right. Yeah. And especially in a place like Thailand, because it sounds so like exotic, but exotic can be a little scary too.
Yeah. But that was an amazing trip. And now I can easily.
And let me ask you, have you sold Thailand since you've been back?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I also have sold Morocco since I've been back. So it just allows me to have that, that extra,
you can talk about
that I know what I talk about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can talk about it educatedly, like you are an expert, and that's what people are coming to you for. So, well, this has been an awesome conversation, and congratulations on Ortensia Blue Travel Adventures. What an incredible business you have built, and will continue to build.
Thank you.
I'm just so excited for you, and thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.